Hey, what up, guys? This is going to be a controversial one. I know a lot of people don't like Floyd Mayweather, and there are a lot of people that do. This is another shut the fuck up and go away, and it's on Floyd Money Mayweather. I don't like Floyd Mayweather, but you know what? That wasn't always the case, and I'm the type of person, you could ask anybody that knows me personally. I don't care if I like you or not. I will defend you or defend anything that I'm passionate about if it's right. And Mayweather, I used to like the guy. So let's get into all these things that I'm gonna go off on about Mayweather, because I am sick and tired of this guy. So I'm gonna bust a rant on Floyd Mayweather right now. So first off, when he was Pretty Boy Floyd, I was into Mayweather a lot. Early in his career, as he got better. I remember my senior year of high school when I was 18 years old. Pretty Boy Floyd was fighting on a Saturday night. I was at a party with girls, all that shit. I wanted to go home and watch him fight because he was so talented and he was badass. And, Floyd used to be more aggressive. He did. He used to be a boxer puncher slash. He was a great boxer, but he used to go for the knockout. He used to go for the kill. And he was a fucking killer, and he was entertaining as fuck, and I really liked him. And he was humble back then. He was good, And I don't mind, as you get popular, you getting a little more, you start talking shit a little more. You see it all the time. It sells. I get it, But when, even after he knocked out Gotti, when I was a Gotti fan, but I knew he was going to beat the shit out of Gotti. But he knocks out Gotti, and he moves up to welterweight, 147. And when he fought De La Hoya, who is my favorite fighter of all time, I went in thinking he was going to beat De La Hoya. What I didn't like about Floyd is that was the day that was the fight that he became Money Mayweather. And he basically became a fucking character and a boxer at the same time. He became an actor. Because he never acted that way, the flashing the money and all that. There's a couple things from that. He couldn't understand how De La Hoya, who was a humble fighter, you call his personal life what you want, but he was a humble guy. And, he was a golden boy. He didn't talk a lot of shit. He was a respectful fighter to his opponents, too. He couldn't understand how De La Hoya generated so much money, Because De La Hoya, outside of the heavyweight division at the time, was the highest grossing boxer in boxing. And he's basically nowadays Canelo. But back then, he was living in the day of Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, where the heavyweight division was still king back then. It's not the case like that anymore. But De La Hoya, Mayweather pulled like a WWE tactic, where it was like, I have to be the bad guy, in order to sell tickets. And he's not the only guy to ever do that. So I get it. But the thing is he continued to do it later on after, And that's when people really started disliking him. And part of the reason I started disliking him, it wasn't just outside the ring. That was really when Mayweather exploded after he beat De La Hoya. Now, let's go into that win over De La Hoya. He pitter-pattered his way to a victory. I get he moved up in weight. Actually, he moved up to 154 to fight Oscar. I get that he, I never thought Floyd ran in a fight, outside of one or two times. And this was one of the fights where Floyd ran until De La Hoya got tired, and then he took over the fight. Through 7 rounds, I had De La Hoya winning the fight. And then Mayweather took over the fight because De La Hoya admitted he got tired of chasing him. But going in, all the talk was, I'm going to destroy De La Hoya. I'm going to beat the shit out of De La Hoya, blah, 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 blah. There was one round where De La Hoya really got teed off on by Mayweather. It was in the 11th. But he didn't get hurt. He just got hit a lot by Mayweather. That was the only round where Mayweather got aggressive in that fight. So I really lost respect for him as a fighter because I felt like he ran to beat De La Hoya, but again, he moved all the way up to 154. You got to respect that, And then also Mayweather had hand issues and hand problems. So I get you're not as aggressive as you used to be. My problem with Mayweather is while he fought in the heavier weight divisions, 147 especially, because that was majority of where he fought, you know, there was times where he could have knocked guys out, and he didn't. He didn't go for it. And that, for me, is why Mayweather is not the greatest of all time, or the best ever, or even one of the top 3 or 4. Mayweather is a great fighter. I'll say maybe a top 10 fighter. But what memories inside the ring do you really have? Yes, he has the wins, and I'll even defend Mayweather. I really don't think he handpicked his opponents. A lot of people say he ran from people. Okay, let's start with the biggest name, Manny Pacquiao. People think Mayweather ran from Pacquiao. I don't agree. I think that was both of them. And there's a lot of reasons that people don't understand and don't know about that rivalry. One, they fought on different networks, and it was a hard fight to make from scratch. That's one. Two, Mayweather was worried that Pacquiao, because at the time there was a lot of people saying Pacquiao was using steroids. And Pacquiao wouldn't agree to testing that Mayweather was trying to lay down. And Mayweather never tested positive for shit. So again, I'm defending Mayweather here. And 3, and here's the biggest one, and I absolutely respect this one. There is a business side of boxing, guys. You have to respect that. When they were at their height and in their prime, and they wanted to fight each other, Pacquiao kept laying down, hey, I want a 50-50 split. Mayweather kept saying, no, I am the A side, you are the B side. I generate more money than you do. Pacquiao said, no, you don't. So at the time, they were in an agreement of a 55-45 almost. It was in that area. And Mayweather called for a law firm to go and get lawyers to break down numbers of what these guys generate. And because Mayweather wasn't agreeing to even a 55-45 split in favor of Mayweather. He wanted more because he deserved more. And when that happened, Pacquiao agreed to, like, I think it ended up being like a 57-43 kind of split. But he stopped that law firm from checking the numbers. His people did, because they knew, Pacquiao's people knew, that if they did that, Mayweather was going to take more of about 60% of the money, of the gate, of everything that was getting paid. So Mayweather stood his ground, and he didn't fight Pacquiao for a few reasons. You can say he was afraid. I don't think he was. Okay, I really don't. But, you know, we'll get back to when he actually fought him, because he did make more, so Mayweather was right the whole time when it came to the money issue. He was right. He made a lot more than Pacquiao, too. That shows you he was the A side. My problem with Mayweather in the ring was you don't really have a lot of good memories of what he actually did in the ring. You remember the money, you remember the build-up to the fights, because he talked so much shit, he flashed so much money, but he became like Ric Flair, like a WWE star, a villain, where he made you hate him. And then in the ring, he did just enough to win, which I know there's going to be the crowd that says a win is a win, and you're right, a win is a win. But what memorable moment do you have of where it's like one signature knockout victory or moment when he was at his height? You really don't. I mean, the one that sticks out to me the most was the way he stood in front of Shane Mosley and beat the shit out of Mosley for 12 rounds after Mosley hurt him and almost knocked him down. But he didn't knock Mosley out, you know, but it was an impressive, that was the one. That's why when people say he ran, I go, you know what? Mosley was a big-time puncher. Mosley hurt him. And Floyd stood right in the middle of the ring and completely dominated Shane Mosley for 12 rounds. You know, or for the next 10 rounds after that knockdown. So, you know, I really have defended him a lot. But against some of the big names, and here's 3 big names that I feel Floyd could have knocked out. And that would have secured his legacy, you know, in my opinion, as one of the top 5 greatest. Juan Manuel Marquez. One, he didn't meet Marquez on weight. He didn't. You know, he was supposed to meet him. I think they were supposed to meet like a catch weight of like 144 or something, or 143. And he came in 146. He didn't even try to make the weight. And then he just paid the difference, and he came in the bigger man during the fight. But you know what? Why would he be afraid with the chin that he had? Floyd had a great chin, by the way. He didn't get hit a lot. He played good defense. But you know what? Why not open yourself up just a tad more? Because you're facing a guy that's coming up from lightweight anyways, from 135 to fight you. And you're bigger than him the night of the fight because you came in overweight. He knocks Marquez down, and then he just picked and poked, outboxed him, did enough just to win. It was like, wow, you couldn't even knock this little guy out? Why wouldn't you go for it and knock the guy out and take more of a risk? Yes, you're taking more of a risk, but you're daring to be great. And that's my problem with Mayweather. He didn't ever dare to be great. The Miguel Cotto fight. He stood in front of Cotto and went toe-to-toe with him, laid on the ropes and stayed there on the ropes, went toe-to-toe with him. He absolutely outworked him. He won majority of the rounds. I think I gave Mayweather in that fight, I think I gave him like 10 rounds because Cotto was doing well because Mayweather was standing in front of him. But Mayweather was outworking him. He was landing more punches and shit. But the thing was, is if Mayweather would have boxed and set his punches up, he could have knocked Cotto out the way he knocked Ricky Hatton out back in the day. The way he could have knocked Marquez out the same way. And then the Manny Pacquiao fight. Boring. Like, in those big fights against the big names, that's when you want to leave that lasting memory in people's, head. And the fucked up thing is everybody says Mayweather fought scared. I say that for a different reason. People think he fought scared because he knows he would have been knocked out. See, that's the thing. I don't think he would have been knocked out. I'm a firm believer that if Floyd, as good as he was and as great a chin as he had, if he put his foot on the gas pedal, went for those knockouts, took a little bit more of a risk and went for those knockouts, that he would have got him, and I don't believe he would have been hurt or knocked out against those fighters. Those three great fighters. Those are Hall of Fame fighters right there. Marquez, Cotto, and Pacquiao especially. And the Pacquiao fight pisses me off because it was 6-7 years in the making, and we finally got those two guys in the ring. And that's what we got? Like, I'm just going to do enough to win. He played too much defense and not enough offense, guys. And was he a great fighter? Absolutely. Mayweather is a great fighter. He was, But now, but let's talk about his last 4 fights of his career, okay? Now, the first 3 fights of that Showtime contract, he signed a 6-fight deal that started with Robert Guerrero. That fight, Guerrero was coming off his career best win when he handed Andre Berto the first loss of his career. That was huge. Fucking huge win right there. Actually, no, Berto lost his first time to Ortiz. But Berto was still a big name when he fought Guerrero, and that was Guerrero's career biggest win, and Berto was still a big name at the time. Mayweather fought Guerrero after Guerrero's biggest win of his career. Mayweather beat the shit out of him as another guy he could have knocked out, but I know in that fight he hurt his hand, and that's why he probably didn't knock out Guerrero. So that's fine. Then Canelo. Okay, you beat the shit out of a younger guy who didn't, he was a younger guy. I think Canelo was 22 when they fought. Okay, he made a lot of money because he needed to. He had to take the Canelo fight because Showtime actually lost money on the Guerrero fight. So they needed a bigger name. They got the bigger name. But why make him come down to 152? Why play the catchweight game? Why can't you fight the guy at 154, the natural weight, for the title? That's another thing that pissed me off about Mayweather. He played that 152 card with him. And it was just like, wow, what a fucking joke. Like, why couldn't you just fight him at 154? Because I honestly believe that wouldn't have mattered. There were so many Mexican fans. Again, I live in California. Canelo had a chance. I was like, no, he doesn't. I went to a whole house, my boy Freddie's house. Shout out to my boy Freddie. Nothing but Mexicans there. All cheering for Canelo. And me and my boy Freddie were the only two saying, and his brother were the only two saying, Mayweather's going to beat the shit out of Canelo. And I think he could have done that at 154 or 152. Either one would have been fine. What was the next fight after Canelo? I'm a little unsure about that one. It might have been Pacquiao. But, no, it wasn't. But I want to get to the last 4 fights after well, no, actually, he fought Maidana twice after that, yeah. So the 2 Maidana fights. Maidana was interesting because, the first fight, Amir Khan wanted to fight, Floyd. And Khan is a bigger name than Maidana. And Floyd even put a poll out on one of the social media sites saying, who do you want me to fight next? And he put Amir Khan or Marcos Maidana. And the fans voted for Khan. And he fought Maidana anyways. Now, I didn't have a problem with that because even though Khan beat Maidana, that was years ago, and it was a great fight. Maidana almost knocked Khan out. And then Maidana was also coming off of his biggest win over Adrian Broner. He beat the shit out of Adrian Broner. So I didn't have a problem with Floyd fighting him. But when you're going to release a poll like that against another talented, fast guy in Khan, and I think that would have been an interesting fight. I still think Floyd beats Khan. But I think it would have been an interesting fight. It would have been a more difficult fight than Maidana. Maidana, then he goes and stands in front of Maidana. Maidana plays rough tactics. He gets a close decision. That warranted a second fight where I knew it was going to happen. He was just going to stay away from Maidana this time, outbox him, and win. And that's exactly what happened. He beats Pacquiao in a boring-ass fight. Then, here's when I got pissed. The last fight of his contract to tie Rocky Marciano's record. Andre Berto at that point? Berto was nothing at that point. And then you can't even knock Berto out and take the chance and knock him out? I didn't even order that fight. And the undercard was really good. I was mad that I was missing the fucking undercard of that. But I would not pay for that main event. And can't even knock the guy out? I was like, okay, whatever. And then he fights Conor McGregor for number 50, an MMA fighter. What a joke. And then, again, all you guys, I'm not saying everybody, but motherfuckers are suckers, man. I mean, the mainstream fans, or not the mainstream fans, the fair-weathered fans, the once-in-a-while fans. You guys are suckers, man, because I called it. I said McGregor fights a total of 25 minutes max, but most of those MMA fights never go the distance. And those are only title fights. They go 25 minutes. Boxing, it's 36 minutes. And Mayweather is schooled in going 12 rounds, man. 12 rounds. He's schooled in it. He's done it so many times. McGregor's coming in. I'm like, man. And then Mayweather makes him look good the first 4 rounds, plays with him, knocks his ass out. I mean, what a shock. You know, I called it. He's going to knock him out in the later rounds, man, because he's going to have more stamina. And that's exactly what happened. You know, so I've defended Mayweather, and I've also knocked Mayweather down, but people think I just want to knock the guy down. I don't. I'll defend what's right, and I'll talk shit about what's wrong. And I'm sorry, after almost 20 minutes, it's just Mayweather, there's a lot to talk about. But this guy needs to shut the fuck up and go away. He's bitching about Pacquiao, but he's standing in the middle of the ring. You know, and he's saying Pacquiao needs to stop getting his name off of my name. Pacquiao had a fucking big name before Mayweather. Before anybody wanted to see Pacquiao and Mayweather, he had a huge name that people were paying to watch. Is his name as big as Mayweather's? No. But Pacquiao, all he's ever said is that he would like to fight Mayweather again. He's not sitting there calling him out over and over and over. He usually answers the question, yes, I'd like to fight Floyd again. But he's not out there calling him out. And if you don't want to be synonymous with, why are you standing in the ring? I understand him being at the fight, but why stand in the ring? He says, I signed Pacquiao. I'm his boss. No, he isn't. Pacquiao fights for the PBC, which is Al Heyman, which is also Mayweather's advisor. But the PBC can go without Mayweather, and they have for a few years now. The PBC's been fine. They're actually better than they ever were because they have a good stable of fighters. So Mayweather is just an attention whore, guys. That's all he wants. If he's so financially set, why does he take a $9 million exhibition when they say he's worth almost $500 million? He didn't need that fight. He did that for not for the money. He did that for the attention that he's going to get from it. Whether it be negative or good attention, Mayweather knows attention is attention. People are going to no Floyd Mayweather. You know? And then Mayweather fans coming out saying, oh, what about all the other fighters that used to fight exhibition fights? Most of those motherfuckers needed the money because they pissed away all their money. I give Mayweather props for not pissing away all his money. He's made a shitload of money, but why does he need to go and keep his name out there like that? Why does he need to go have an exhibition against some fucking kickboxer? You know, that's the thing. It just doesn't make sense, and people need to recognize who defend this fool, what he really is, and why people don't like him. They don't like him as a boxer, most people, because, and these are the boxing experts and writers who actually know their shit. They all think Mayweather's great, but they don't think Mayweather ever took many risks, especially in his biggest fights. And they're right about that. And people got to own that shit. They just do. If you like Mayweather, fine. But own that that's the truth about Mayweather. You know? And also why people don't respect and like Mayweather is because this dude beat the shit out of every one of his girlfriends and wives. He did. He has so many domestic violence cases against him. He's fucking next to OJ. He just hasn't murdered anybody. But he also has the money to pay all these people off and keep them quiet. You know, so Mayweather in and out of the ring is not a likable guy. He's just not. And I love how he goes out and bitches about how people are just jealous of the success he's made. Maybe people are. That's fine, but I understand the guy was a great fighter and he needed something like being a villain and a bad guy, and he did it though. He did it well. I give him his props on that. But don't stand here and fucking act like you're a victim or something, motherfucker. You're not. You're a piece of shit that beats the shit out of women, and you just have the money from your inside the ring career to pay these women off and keep them quiet and make sure your ass doesn't go to prison. And in the ring, you were a great fighter, top 10 great fighter of all time. But you're not TBE and the greatest of all time. You're not, and you never will be, fool. And part of that reason is because you didn't take risk in your biggest fights. And go look at any guy they talk about who was great. Even going back to fucking Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard even. Did I say? No, Sugar Ray Robinson back in the 50s and 60s. Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard, those are some all-time great fighters right there. Even Manny Pacquiao is an all-time great fighter. He is. He's fucking one of the 10 best ever. Dude's amazing. You know what? The reason he got knocked out against fucking Marquez? Because he actually took a risk. And he bounced back from that shit. And I'd rather see a great fighter bounce back from a loss and still be great. And Manny is selling his greatness still at 40 years old right now, beating a great champion in Keith Thurman because he's taking a fucking risk, Floyd. You know, so I think Floyd's great, always have, but Floyd, shut the fuck up and go away. You are bad for boxing, and I'm tired of your shit. I'm really tired of you, dude. Shut the fuck up and go away. All right, guys, that's it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.